Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're going to connect two stories that seem totally unrelated: a brutal shipwreck from the 1600s and a massive stock market crash from the 1700s. And what we're going to see is how the dream of getting rich quick can push people to their absolute and sometimes terrifying limits. So, what could a 17th century shipwreck possibly have in common with one of the greatest scientists who ever lived? Well, it all boils down to one simple, powerful word: greed. We're about to see just how that intoxicating promise of wealth can completely unravel everything. I mean, everything, from the rules of society on a deserted island to the logical mind of a genius caught up in a crazy stock market frenzy. All right, so let's set the scene for our first story. We're going back to 1628. The Dutch East India Company's brand new flagship, the Batavia, is setting sail for the East Indies. And this thing was basically a floating treasure chest. It was packed to the gills with silver coins for the spice trade, and on board you had over 300 people, all hoping to start a new, prosperous life. But, this voyage that started with so much promise, it went south and fast. You see, there was bad blood between the ship's commander and the skipper, and that, combined with the twisted ambitions of an officer named Geronimus Cornelis, cooked up a plan for a mutiny. But before they could even pull it off, something way worse happened. The Batavia slammed into a coral reef, leaving the survivors stranded, literally in the middle of nowhere, hundreds of miles from any help. Now, the shipwreck itself was absolutely brutal. The ship broke apart, and about 100 people were lost right away. But believe it or not, that wasn't the worst part. The real horror started on these tiny, barren islands where the survivors ended up. That number you're looking at, 125, that's how many men, women, and even children were murdered. Not by the sea, but by their fellow survivors. You see, the commander had taken a longboat to go get help, and that left a total power vacuum. And what filled it was pure, calculated evil. And this quote, this gives you a window right into the mind of the man behind it all, Geronimus Cornelis. He basically believed that with no one watching, you could do whatever you want. Good, evil, it didn't matter. So for him, the shipwreck wasn't a disaster. It was an opportunity. He and his cronies took over and just started killing anyone who wasn't on their side. And the endgame? Wait for the rescue ship, kill everyone on it, and sail away as pirates with all that silver from the Batavia. Okay, let's shift gears completely. We're going to jump forward almost a century to London, 1720. Now, the chaos here isn't about physical survival. It's all about money. We're talking about a financial storm, a total mania that swept up the entire city, all centered on one company that promised to make literally everyone rich: the South Sea Company. The stock for this company just exploded. It was all fueled by hype, by rumors, by this completely irrational belief that it could only go up. And this chart just shows you how wild the ride was. The price shot up from about £120 to over $700 in just 6 months. The frenzy was unbelievable. It sucked in everybody: shopkeepers, lords and ladies, and even the guy who figured out how gravity works. And this is where the story gets really, really interesting. I mean, Sir Isaac Newton was no dummy, right? He was the master of the Royal Mint, a super sharp and successful investor. And at first, he played this bubble like a pro. He got in, sold his shares, and walked away with a huge profit. But he couldn't take it. He watched his friends keep making money as the stock kept soaring, and he just couldn't stand being left out. So he jumped back in with everything he had, right at the very peak. And when it all came crashing down, he lost a fortune: £20,000, which today would be millions. So, back to our big question. What on earth connects a bloodthirsty mutineer on some remote island with one of history's greatest geniuses losing all his money? The link, it's a force that's way more unpredictable than a coral reef or a stock chart. And this quote, which Newton supposedly said after he lost everything, it just nails it. I can calculate the motions of the heavenly bodies, but not the madness of people. It's such a powerful admission, right? Here's a man who could literally map out the entire solar system, but he couldn't figure out the irrationality of the people around him, or even his own. And that's the key. Both stories are fueled by that exact same unpredictable thing: the madness of people when they're chasing that dream of getting rich overnight. And when you lay it out side by side like this, the parallels are just chilling. In both cases, the prize was huge, right? Silver and spices or massive stock profits. Then you have a catalyst, a physical disaster versus a financial one that kicks everything off. But the real engine of destruction was the madness that it unleashed. For the Batavia survivors, it was pure savagery and murder. For the London investors, it was a collective fantasy. But the results? Exactly the same. Total and complete ruin. So look, these aren't just a couple of cool, dusty old stories from the history books. They're actually powerful cautionary tales. And they're just as relevant today as they were back then, because ultimately, they're not just about them. They're about us. So what are the big takeaways here? Well, first, the promise of easy money can make even the smartest people throw logic right out the window. And we saw that even a certified genius isn't immune to groupthink, to that fear of missing out. It also shows that greed can tear down the rules of society, sometimes with terrifying speed. That madness of people, it's this powerful, powerful force that just keeps showing up again and again throughout history. And that really leaves us with one last question to think about. What are the bubbles that we're living in right now that might not be financial? They could be social or something else entirely. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it?